What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Odd Family Fun. This channel is dedicated to making 3D Pokemon cards, collect sports cards, Pokemon, we grade. This video is going to be specifically on how I make my 3D cards. Camera angle's a little wonky sometimes, just bear with me, but let's dive into this. So this is the lines that I'm going to follow for making the different layers. It's kind of hard to see, but because it's a little shiny, but you can see there's the different mountains. That's the second layer. Third layer is the big one. And then the first layer is going to be the two armor plates with the leg, the full body, and then the shadowed part of the back body. Those are going to be the layers for this guy. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a sculpting tool. It's a very fine dot tool and a ruler, and it's just going to add some extra texture and depth for picking up shadows and helping it glint for the reverse hollow that I use as my front. When you're cutting these cards, the edges like to lift, so the tool that I'm using is another sculpting tool, but it's that round one with the blue handle, and I just use that to get the edges down. And then I take that very fine sculpting tool and I'm going to do, there's like chevrons or hash marks on there, and I'm going to just follow those lines freehand without the ruler. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black Sharpie. This is an older Sharpie, it doesn't have as strong an ink, and I'm going to go along the edges. It's going to add that extra shadow. I don't recommend using a brand new pen because it will bleed into the page and it will ruin it. This is where I start the layering process. I'm going to start cutting out each individual layer that I showed you earlier, and then I'm going to put the black marker on the edges, that kind of stuff, and I'm going to show you how that looks once it's cut out. The next step is I'm going to take a mouse pad and I'm going to flip the card over, and I'm going to use that round steel sculpting tool, and I'm going to gently rub it in the back. It's going to add concave to the card so that the piece is actually going to stick out from the card, and that's where you're going to get some of that 3D detail from. And here you can see how the layers come together as you finish cutting them out. And that's the general completed look we're looking for a layered card. Now we're going to create spacers so that we have 2 to 3 cards in between each layer. It's going to bring the card out and it's going to give that real layered effect. It's going to pop that 3D really nicely. Can't really see it, my hand's kind of in the way here, but I'm going to start putting black marker along the outer edge. I'm going to start filling in the areas on the layers behind it of the layer before it. It's going to add that shadow box effect to the card. I know some people just don't paint the layers, they just leave them in there. I prefer to color my layers dark so that you can't really see what's going on behind them. These are the spacers that I was discussing earlier. I use that big thick black marker to just cover them all, and then I hit the inside edge with a Sharpie. I glue all the pieces together with Elmer's all-purpose glue. I use a paintbrush to apply it to all the area that I want to cover. I press the cards together and then I put it under a large textbook. That way it smushes it down. When it dries hard and straight. You also want to be careful when you put the textbook down. It could shift the cards. You just want to double check. Card is fully assembled here. I'm starting to add UV resin so that I can add different like shiny details to the outside of the card. I'm not going to go over which resin I use. It's very toxic. You need to do your homework on it beforehand. That way you know what you're getting into, but this is a step that I do. That light right there is curing the resin with a UV light. And that's the final card. Thank you so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, giving it a thumbs up, really helps the channel out. And if you decide to make a 3D card, please share it. I'd love to see what you make. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or if you'd like to see another video like this.